Good morning. Today we have an author email list in mind. And I know that sounds like such a thrilling topic, but it's what's bothering me. So the author email list is super important. And it's literally the thing that I did so badly that it ended up costing continued book sales because I didn't set up what I needed to do to create the author email list. And it's literally haunted me for like 13 years, 14 years. So, story time. When we were in a I guess it was like 2010, started writing the first sets of books, and then 2011 they're published, and I had a bunch of friends doing the whole science fiction thing, and because I published in science fiction, it was pretty easy to make that connection. So I was in a group with the correct tribe. We would meet fairly regularly. So I did everything perfect for the Amazon algorithm. And when I released my books, my first two books, science fiction books, they reached out to the world. They hit the Amazon algorithm. And they did pretty darn well, because what happened was we had a bunch of people who were relating to the books and the topics and the stories through hobbies and stuff that I was doing at the time. So that automatically creates a pure audience. Now, an email list for an author basically means you can reach out and touch the folks who have already liked your books, who have already liked your content for whatever reason. So if you're a world-renowned chef and everybody who goes to your restaurant drops their email in as a, here's your free book door prize kind of thing, now all of a sudden you've got, for giving out 50 simple recipes that somebody can do at home, you've got yourself an email list of folks you can invite back, of local relevant traffic you can invite back to your business, which is kind of like the gold standard for any business is traffic. Being an author is no different. The Amazon algorithm, how that one works is Amazon knows every purchasing preference that somebody has on their site. There's a reason why when somebody jumps onto your Amazon account and they search for weird stuff that you wouldn't normally search for, it's so irritating, because all of a sudden, like, your clean list of books now suddenly includes like women's underwear and pots and pans and this kind of furniture or that kind of furniture, and it's like, hey, Melissa, were you rooting around in my Amazon looking for stuff? Yes. That's why. Because Amazon pays attention to everything that you've searched recently, looking to close that kind of thing. Okay. Algorithm isn't really the topic, but tangentially, the Amazon algorithm is the gold standard of the topic, because when you're putting people through Amazon to purchase your book and you want to get things sold, in order to do that, Amazon needs to understand the audience for your work. If Amazon understands that people who like, I'm going to go back to Star Wars again, people who like Star Wars like your book because the stories are similar, the plots are similar, the tropes are similar, etc. If people like your books, also like Star Wars, that means that to Amazon, the machine brain can turn around and put people who like Star Wars in front of your book and likely catch a sale. And it's just how the machine works, and it does such a good job that Amazon's got a fantastically large close rate on what it puts people in front of. Okay, there's a lot of other benefits to it too. Specifically, when you drive traffic to Amazon, Amazon is going to replicate your traffic. Anything that you put into Amazon is going to multiply 5, 10, 20 fold based upon how quality your product is. So if I put 5 people into Amazon, there's a very high chance that Amazon's going to replicate that traffic because it's going to know its customers. It's going to replicate the traffic and put those next 20 people into that same funnel. So instead of making 5 sales from your direct email list traffic going to buy, you'll likely pick up at least 20 people. So you'll have 25 sales. So you'll put in 5, you'll get 20 from Amazon browsing and attaching. I'm doing 70 miles an hour. I'm getting blown past like I'm standing still. I think I'm missing a party somewhere. So there's the value to the list of being able to introduce your tribe and your people to your work and being able to communicate with folks, because then they become your customers. And then there's the additional value of the, hey, this is what your additional sales are going to be, because you're going to establish your audience with Amazon. And that's the gold standard. When you establish your audience by driving that pure interested audience of coherent, relevant traffic to Amazon, you've got a completely different conversation going on. So the email list is super important. And here's where my problem is, that while I know how to do it, I personally don't enjoy it. So one of my huge struggles now is I keep dragging my foot at setting the stupid lists up. And when the Amazon in 2011, to finish the story after getting my distraction, 2011, I had 2 bestsellers running because I had that coherent science fiction based audience for my 2 coherent science fiction based books. I drove 30, 40, 50 people from my personal friends group into the book. They picked up the book, and in the span of like 3 months, both books were Amazon bestsellers. And that's a nice place to be. They weren't #1 bestsellers, but they were bestsellers in science fiction, which is a pretty damn big category. I'm sitting next to a truck. I end up losing that spot because I failed to advertise, I failed to promote, and I didn't have an email list, which made the problem worse. The email list would not have prevented me from losing that top spot because everybody advertised in October on Amazon, preparing for Christmas. But it would have allowed me to reach out and let people know that book 3 was coming and the next book was coming, etc. Because then you end up owning that traffic. And part of the reason this is such a hot topic on my mind is because I do pay-per-click management for a couple businesses, and it's just something I'm good at, so I do it. But I do pay-per-click management for a couple businesses, and one of the businesses is an unrelated high-ticket business-to-business sales, and I've got their marketing costs down at like 0.75% the value of the contracts they're putting into their pockets. So it's like, how can we get more of this? Which is really a cool place to be. And yeah, the other major client I've got has got basically a list building. And I've been thinking about the list building because of her businesses pretty extensively. And one of the ways that I've considered redoing the list building is basically taking all those published books I've got floating around out there and sticking my Contact Us page in. But I don't think that's going to work because I've got so many different genres I've published. I've got, I love the science fiction, the fantasy, and that kind of stuff. I love writing that. But I've also made like training journals for jiu-jitsu stuff. I've made, coloring books. I made the expert books. So all that's going to be different traffic. I think I'm going to have to set up like 15 different lists to cover all the different crazy things I do. So I think I'm going to need, like, just to create the author email list, I think I'm going to need to take a day and just sit down and map out all the different funnels I'm going to have to make, all the different email chains I'm going to have to make. Like, what's super frustrating about creating an author-based email list is that when you create that author-based email list, there's the personal introduction emails, which is, okay, great. I sit down and make a list of 21 things. Now I've got a list of 21 emails in a chain sequence that can introduce the personal, hi, I'm Doug, kind of emails. And basically introduce yourself, explain the different aspects of the business, explain the different histories and such like that. Chatty, get to know you kind of things. And then you start getting into the specific chains, the specific information and hobby and product-based stuff. And all that's going to have to be like, it's in the back end, it's going to be like interest-based tags to get the right emails to the right place. So the other day, I did an interview-based book. It's a sales book. So when you've got a high-end salesperson who's like a real estate agent, and they're making, and it's just using that because it's accurate and relevant. So you've got a real estate agent and they're selling houses. Each house that they put into their pocket at the end of the month, each close is worth, like, depending on the market, obviously, but they're going to be putting between $3,500 and $6,000 into their pocket at the end of for every close they make. So if you make one close a month as a real estate agent, you're probably doing okay in most places. 2 closes, you're pretty secure. You're probably banking some money, putting some money on the side. If you start putting 4 closes away, you're a top producer. And a top producing real estate agent, your top 1% of agents is going to close the majority of the closes. And because it's a very Pareto based industry. So if you have 4 closes as a top agent, your problem is no longer closing the houses that you've got. It's putting more people into your orbit and improving your close rates with the people that you do have in your orbit, because there's just so many people you can talk to in a month. That's kind of your upper limit as a real estate agent. So if I'm talking to that kind of person, and I'm talking about an expert seller book, which is what we made for Regina. By the way, kind of cool factoid, I released that book like a month ago, and it's for her keyword, for her specific keyword. She's ranked number 2 out of 1,000 books, which is really kind of cool. But if we take that email list for those expert selling real estate agents, and one of my fun books just I made for me to see if I could do it. I made a coloring book with a bunch of animals. It's kind of a joke, but it's a bunch of black and white animals, like it's like white tigers and pandas and stuff. So it's like the easy animals coloring book. They're all black and white, so you don't have to color animals. It's just like coloring trees and stuff. Ha ha ha. So like, yeah, zebras, and the real estate agents probably don't need the coloring book. So you have to segment the traffic. So if I'm doing like an expert sales book where I need to reach out and connect to those folks for the expert seller list, for the interviews, for the production of the books to help these real estate agents and stuff like that with their own customized book, those folks aren't going to be probably interested in a coloring book because they're too damn busy. So you need to make sure that your traffic is relevant. Just like pay-per-click management, you need to make sure that your people who are on your list are receiving emails that are relevant to their understanding, relevant to what they want. And I think I'm gonna have to make like 5 or 6 minimum. If I'm just going like genre, I'm gonna have to make 5 or 6 different funnels for emails. And like it's gonna have to be a calendared event. If I'm gonna make an author email list, that author email list it's gonna kill me if I don't plan this out. I'm just gonna make a mess out of it. So that's the problem of the week. Well, problem of the day. That's what's been keeping me up. Like last night and the night before. That's what's been keeping me up. And when we finish with practice, I'll turn on. I'm listening to Russell Brunson's Traffic Secrets. He's got the .com secrets. He's got the funnel hacking secrets and the traffic secrets. It's a 4-book series. Russell Brunson wrote the first 3 books. A guy named Jim Edwards put the 4th book together. But all the killers are starting to arrive. So I'm listening to Traffic Secrets. I'm listening to the audiobook version of Traffic Secrets right now, and he's going over the emails. So I'm apparently dreaming about Russell Brunson's Traffic Secrets while I'm supposed to be sleeping, and it's costing me hours of rest thinking about building an author-based email list. The trials of life. Okay, I'm gonna go in and play jiu-jitsu for a little bit. Have a great morning.